right, Briley. This is Jake Epstein, and congrats on being one of the four winners. Anyway, I have one of my college players here on the left. She's a D1 player and a really good hitter, and we're going to use her as a comp. So I can see you have your bat there, probably to see how far we're striding. Kind of monitor that. You definitely have long legs. One of the things we want to look at when we're taking our stride is our back foot, and if we notice your back foot, and we can go here, and this girl has a really big move too, but if we monitor the back foot, let's see if I can get on there and choose the right tool. Doesn't want to. If we monitor that back foot, we'll see how it stays really stable through the stride, okay, all the way to heel plant. If we watch yours, we're going to see that foot. See how it kind of rocks and the weight's on the outside of your back foot? And that has to do with instability in your rear knee. So you can see your knee is kind of pointing rearward as well. Now, I see this a lot, but usually I see it when players, their foot is facing rearward. Your foot is actually really good. But what it means is we're probably striding too fast. You can get crazy and spend a lot of time on, working on the knee and working on the foot. I have drills where we're trying to hold our balance a little bit longer. We're trying to hover a little bit. And usually that will automatically get the back foot into place so that it's stable during the stride. Okay, so I'm going to actually put a timer to see how long your stride is actually taking. So you can see right about here, your heel popped, it's off the ground. How long does it take for you to get to your launch position? You can see it's at 0.4 seconds. Okay, so 0.40 seconds. Now, most elite softball players, Division I softball players, just about every big leaguer is going to be above 0.75 seconds. So it means we're not rushing the stride, we're not jumping, we're able to control it. That in itself is probably why this back foot and knee start to wobble halfway through the swing. Okay, not overly concerned here. But if you can work on slowing down your rhythm, it's going to make a huge difference in you reading pitches, you staying back behind pitches so we don't lunge. It's going to help you keep your front shoulder down a little longer. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is at heel plant when you launch your swing, right there, your front heel's on the ground. Right here, notice how that front shoulder's starting to lift just a little bit. Okay, so if I put a line on it, you can see it's just up a hair. Okay, now we have to keep in mind that the video is not level. So if I draw a line here, that's 6 degrees up. If I draw a line here with your shoulders, that's 4 degrees up. So your shoulders are probably at -2. Okay, so it's not as bad as it looks on here. What you would like to see is, usually a slope that ends up being 10 to 12 degrees, something like that, okay? Now, why would your front shoulder start to go? Well, it looks great here, doesn't it? If we put a number on this, yeah, you're at 17. Why is that important? Well, it keeps your chest back too for separation, keeps your hands back for adjustments. But what's happening is because you're late, because you're striding so fast, and you probably started to move late, you're starting to get your front shoulder up and out of the way so that you can get your arms through. All right, so that would be the main adjustment for you to make. I mean, this has nothing to do with mechanics. It has to do with rhythm and timing. If you were one of my online members, I'd put you on a kind of a rhythm and timing plan with different drills to work on that. Okay, so as we continue to heel plant, and I'm going to bring you to the short approach position. The short approach is when your upper body starts to face your front foot. Okay, so you can see this player, her bat is probably a little bit higher than yours in this position. Your hands are about the same spot. What I love to see is that the knob is in front of the elbow here. That is fantastic. We don't have any bat drag. We could probably get a little bit more separation between your forearm and your chest sooner. Okay, so you get really nice separation here. If I bring her to a similar position, okay, probably about there. You can see her barrel staying up a little bit longer. Very crucial for softball. You have to understand that in softball, the incoming pitch is only dropping a couple degrees. Okay, I mean, it's not going to show here, unfortunately, because the video is not super level. But that pitch, if we say 6 degrees drop there, what did we say this was? 5 or 6. So it's pretty similar to that. What happens is if we only hit front toss and the ball's always dropping like this, then what can happen is our barrel can always come down like this. But in games, we'll start to swing under pitches. So it's very important as you pull through with your hands that your barrel stays above your hands just a little bit longer. And by a little longer, maybe a half frame. You actually have a wonderful swing. Okay, your barrel kind of bottoms out here and then comes through that way. What I would like to see is your barrel still on plane here. Okay, so the one thing, there's one rhythm. We talked about your rhythm and timing, so getting that to be slower and more methodical so you can keep your hands back. The mechanical move is going to be to extend this top hand through. That's what keeps you on plane. So if we look at this position here, you can see the arms a little bit straighter than yours right before contact. At contact, it's there, but watch it finish through the ball. So when that right arm finishes through, what happens is our barrel stays through and won't lift up too much. Because if her barrel went like this, she'd end up hitting the top of the ball. But notice how her barrel kind of goes this way. It keeps her to the bottom half of balls. This is where pull side power comes from. Okay, so you can see as you hit this one, you hit a really nice line drive. But what if you were a little bit early? You probably hit this ball right about there. What if you were a hair early? Because we all know timing is, hitting is pretty hard. So how can we get a couple more inches of barrel coverage out here so that we don't top it? My thought process with you would be when you hit balls left, you hit them really hard, but they're low. Low line drives are really hard ground balls to the left side. So what this is going to do is this is going to help you elevate to the pull side by releasing your right arm. Okay, we don't want to keep turning and over-rotating. We could get into like a 45-minute conversation about biomechanics and kinetic energy, but essentially what happens is energy starts here, works up through the core, works up through the torso and shoulders, then that energy works out the arms, out the hand, and then out the barrel. Okay, think of a really long, like a horse whip or something really long where you're trying to transfer energy from one end to the other. What's happening is when you hold on with this right arm, that energy never gets to the hand and never gets to the barrel. If we over-rotate, our barrel speed really never reaches its maximum speed until way out here. Well, that doesn't do us any good. Okay, so that's why it's so important to start to get your arms to extend a little bit sooner during the process, because it will give you more whip, plus it'll also keep you on plane. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Thank you for sending it in. Again, the main thing that you should focus on is trying to keep your hands back by striding a little bit sooner and a little bit slower. Okay, so refocusing on this foot, keeping the hands back at heel plant to make sure that front shoulder's still down. Again, that's going to help with adjustability and then torque or separation of torsos. Because here you can see your chest is facing there, your hips are facing there. That's not a big separation. But if you got here with your legs, but your upper body was there and your chest was facing that way, now all of a sudden we've doubled our separation, which is going to add, it's not going to add 6 miles an hour to your exit velocity, but it might add 1 or 2, and that's pretty great. So work on that, and then also that top hand. Work on releasing that top hand, releasing the hands and arms, and then boom, that bat's the last thing to come through and accelerate through the ball.